Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dr.Sophia ObGyn Podcast. I'm an ObGyn practicing for over 15 years in my native New York City, and I love to help women learn about their bodies, empower them, and embrace themselves. On this podcast, we talk openly and with heart about all things affecting women, from pregnancy, menopause, periods, sexual health, fertility, and so much more. Disclaimer: this is general medical information based on my professional opinion and experience. For specific medical advice, please refer to your physician. Hi, everyone. It's me, Dr. Sophia, and thank you so much for joining us today on the Dr. Sophia ObGyn Podcast, because today is New Year's Day. And we are so happy that you are here to join us on this new day where we are going to be exploring new beginnings. And what better place to start than with the thing that's so near and dear to my heart, but new births.
Hi, everybody. This is Touseef. So happy New Year to everybody. We are in 2025, which is unbelievable. We wanted to do this podcast because, as we know, with the first day of the year, we always thinking about, okay, it's new beginnings. What are the things that we want to maybe engage in more and we have a little bit more excitement? And we thought from an ObGyn perspective, what does that actually resemble from that perspective? And that's really when you bring new life, new beginnings, new life.
I mean, new life is the reason why I went into ObGyn in the first place. It's happy medicine for me. It is the place where I continually am able to feel renewed and rewarded with the work that I do every day. And so for me, I am so excited to talk about birth because it's just an area I feel like we take for granted even sometimes. You know, like it's just expected. Okay, she's pregnant and she's going to have a baby. No, it's a process, an emotional process, and it's an emotional process for everybody who's going through it, including me.
And it's miraculous that this is happening.
We are all one in a million.
We are all one in a million. And each one of us has gone through this miraculous process ourselves.
That is correct. We all have gone through being born.
Yes.
So
it's true when you think about it. It's a commonality of all human beings is to being born. We all started from that point.
And all birth is birth. So whether that birth is vaginal birth, whether that birth is a cesarean birth, whether that is a planned birth, whether it's an induction, whether it's a home birth at a birthing center, in a taxi, because Lord knows I've delivered quite a few babies that are just pulled up in front of the hospital and can't make it to a room. You know,
so sometimes did you have to like get out
literally
in the parking lot,
in the hospital parking lot, not the parking lot, like on the ambulance bay. Okay, in the taxi, and she's like, I gotta push, and it's just the baby's coming right out because that's what they do.
Wow,
you know, so exciting. It's 2025. We're excited.
Yes, we are excited, and 2025. Can we even like grasp the concept? I mean, I'm 51 and 2025 is like, I've lived already through a quarter of a full century from 2000.
From 2000. I mean, I know for me, I just remember Y2K, 1999 and thinking, oh my God, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And here we are, 2025. And not only have we all survived it, but, in so many ways, life has just gotten so much better even, and we just have to keep thinking about it in that way, that we're always progressing and living life through a journey that always looks different. And it all started with us being born.
I just want to say, I remember when I was, I think like when I was 9 or 10, And like I understood much better the concept of time. And I realized that, it was okay, I don't know, like 1994, 1995 and going. And I went, wow. And then it's going to hit 1999 and then it's going to go 2000. And oh my God, I'm going to be 28 when that happens. I'm going to be so old. And here I am at 2025 and it's gone like this.
Like that. I think part of why we wanted to have this talk today just about birth, it's still the very favorite part of what I do. I especially feel a special connection when it comes to vaginal birth. And I wanted women to walk into their birthing processes just feeling like they can truly embrace it. It's however way you are going to go through it, and that we all have our own ideas of what is going to make it their own, and it's not always exactly as you picture it. Women come to me all the time with like a birth plan. I love that they come with a plan, that they think about whether or not they want music, whether or not they want to be able to eat, how they want to be able to move throughout labor, etc.
So when you say plan, this is like when they're going to be delivering, that they come up with all different ways that will make it more meaningful to them or more pleasant to them.
Meaningful, more comfortable, more connected. I think the other part of it is just understanding that things can change kind of in an instant. Also, to understand that you can try to find as best you can the way that it's going to feel the best for you. So whether you're trying to have perhaps like a home birth, or you want to have a repeat C-section, for example, these are all things that are okay because at the end of it, it all leads to birth.
I think what's important here is to recognize that you can plan it, even that you have the choice of how you want, well, to a certain extent, obviously, not fully, but like, for example, if you want to have a home birth, or if you want to have...
If you want to have a home birth, that you seek out the ways and the means and the resources in order to allow for that to happen.
Like with
to
a
set
doula,
it up.
for example.
Well, more than just having a doula, but having a home birth midwife, or who may be supported by a physician in case of an emergency or what have you. But rather, the concept of having a plan and then being able to go through with that plan as best you can. Now, the birthing process can change, and so it's just being able to be prepared for that, but also be prepared for having things exactly as you want it. You know what I mean? I know for me, and it's funny, we're in 2025. I mean, 25 years ago, I had a baby, right? And so it was interesting to have music, and it was good to have...
So you did have music?
Actually, I didn't have music with Tyler. I didn't know what was going on when I was having Tyler, to be fair.
Okay.
Sometimes the first one, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what to expect. You don't know what to do. He came early. There were so many things. But certainly for Max, who also came early, like totally unexpected. My water broke at 35 weeks. But at least at that time, I knew who I wanted in the room. I knew that I wanted music playing.
What music?
I had Miles Davis.
Oh, nice.
I did.
Very nice.
I had Miles Davis. And it's funny because both of my boys are such music aficionados. They listen to everything, literally everything. And I feel like they're kind of old souls in that sense. And they're always putting me on, actually, to good music. But I had like incense.
So when you were planning for all of that, did you like talk to your OBGYN, your physicians? This is how I want to bring things. Is that okay? Or you just knew they were all in a bag and you were just going to do it? Like how?
Girl, nothing was in a bag. Listen to me. Let's start again. Max came early. Tyler came early. Neither one of them were necessarily super planned, right? But at least in the moment, I was able to have a little bit, I don't want to call it control, but feel more comfortable. I did get an epidural, for example, although a little later than I probably would have liked at the time. But nonetheless, I was able to yeah, bring in the music, have the incense. And it wasn't necessarily something planned. I just felt like that was what was soothing me at the time. I was happy that we were able to deliver in low light, you know? And so having had the experience myself, I think about it now, even when I deliver my patients, that if I don't have to put on light, I don't. I let it be just the
You mean the light in the room?
in the room. Like, don't make it so bright. You know, I think about those poor little babies who are in darkness. They're the whole 9 months that they're in the womb. You know, they're just swimming in a dark hot tub. Woo! And then they're born and they have to come out to this brightness. And so I don't know. I feel like that's my little way of being able to say, I want this to be as gentle as possible for you.
Not as a shock.
Not as it's already got to be a shock.
Yeah, that's
going through
true.
the whole birth process is a process, you know, not just for the mother, but obviously for the baby also. And so, you know, I just think it's so important that we are cognizant of all these little things. And for wherever we have space to ease it, make it something that we are going to make memorable for us.
And is that something, for example, that you even talk to your patient with before? Like, is there something you want to bring, or that's
I do. I do. I try to say, if you have a plan, let's talk about it. Come, you know, let's, you know, bring it up. And they can bring it up at any point. In the beginning, they just found out they're pregnant, and then we talk about it again in the middle or at the end. And I think the biggest thing that I try to do is reassure patients that however way you give birth, you're still giving birth.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I say that because I do feel like we can get bogged down in it has to be a natural birth, or it has to be a vaginal birth, or it has to be an unmedicated birth. It has to be that I don't have an epidural.
Or else it's not a quote unquote real birth?
Or it's not, yeah, as you say, it's not quote unquote a real birth, or it's not a natural birth. And I am the biggest advocate for everything going as naturally as possible. But at the same time, we are in a place where we have access, and it can be how you want it to be, and things can change. Also, the goal of this is to understand that things can change. Let's say a woman who comes in labor and she's laboring on her own, she's tolerating her contractions really well, and then the pain becomes intolerable, and then decides at that point that she would like medication to help ease her pain, whether that's something that we can offer her through the IV, or whether it's something we have to then look to something like an epidural.
And that's okay if they ask for
and it's
some
so
pain relief.
Okay if they ask for pain relief. The birthing process, however way it happens, is new. It's a new feeling of bringing in life. Whether it's their first birth, their 8th birth, that every single time it's new. It's different. It could be that they had 5 vaginal births, and then their last one, it happens to be a C-section for whatever reason. This just happened to me where I had a woman who'd had 4 previous vaginal deliveries. And then here we are, she's in labor, and the labor is not progressing. And we're talking about something that should have felt very easy. We were kind of struggling along to get her dilating. And then the baby kind of like was showing signs that, hey, I don't think I'm really that happy inside and going through this labor process. And then having to have the conversation with the patient, but also for myself, like, something's just not right.
And were you saying it wasn't right because in their previous pregnancies it didn't react that way, or just as a baseline something wasn't right?
No,
both?
in the moment of recognizing that for that particular process, that particular birth, that particular baby, and that particular mother going through labor, she's falling off the curve. This is supposed to go a different way. And being able to recognize that, but it's more than just being able to recognize that. Like, in my heart of hearts, I'm like, she should be able to have this baby. She's had 4 of them, no problem. This is what's happening. So a part of it is, all right, let me see what I can do. What else can we do to try to get this to happen? And then having to make the decision that, okay, it's not happening this way. It just isn't going to happen this way.
Because she's been in labor for so long.
Not even that she's been in labor just for so long, but yes, she was in it for a couple of hours already at that point. But moreover, she wasn't making any progress. And not only was she not making progress, but the baby also started to we monitor the babies. If you're in a hospital setting, oftentimes it's what we call continuous monitoring, where we're looking at the baby's heart rate. And then the baby just kind of started showing me signs that, hey, hello, A, I need to come out. And B, I don't care how you get me out, but get me out of here. And unfortunately, she wasn't close enough for me to try to get her out vaginally, right?
So I had from a dilated
perspective, right? So I had to do a C-section. And sometimes it really pains me in a woman who's had 4 vaginal births, who I now have to say, I'm so sorry, but we are going to have to go for a C-section. And then doing that C-section. And then I feel so validated at times, because sometimes you don't even know why the baby was responding in the way that it was. But in this particular case, literally, the baby had the cord around its neck, wrapped 3 times and wrapped around its body. It was the longest cord I'd ever seen. And this baby was clearly doing somersaults in there. And it's not because babies are not born many times with cords all around them, around their necks, around their bodies, what have you. And it's not to say that you can't have a vaginal birth, but this one could not. It was not happening. And every time she got a contraction and every time that baby tried to move, that cord was getting tighter. And I was so thankful that A, I have the experience, and B, that the mother was because sometimes when you have had vaginal births, you're like, but please, we got to try something else, and you try to work with the patient, and sometimes you just can't. And sometimes the signs show you something different. And for this mom, and most of the time, the mothers are like, please do whatever's going to be safest. Please, let's do what's going to be safest for me and what's going to be safest for my baby. And in this case, it was to do a C-section. And I was so thankful that we did. And that we did it at the time that we did, because the baby is fine, right? Fine, home with mom. Here we have someone who could have had, or we should have had, or we think about it, she should have had a vaginal birth. She's got a tested pelvis. This is what it should be. And then it had to turn into something else. And that's still birth. It's still new. So that's a brand new experience for her now. She's had these 4 other deliveries, and now she's having a C-section, a completely different type of birth in terms of how it actually happens and is accomplished. And yeah, every single one is a different experience, even for me.
So let's talk about, in terms of a vaginal health delivery and the process of birthing at that from this particular approach. When you are going to the delivery room and it's time for the delivery to happen, as an OBGYN, what are you seeing? What are you feeling? What are you getting prepared for as you're recognizing that the time is coming close for this baby to
arrive?
Yes.
Make its entrance.
Yes.
Still now, 15 years later, I'm still super excited every time.
And you're excited because
of all of the just raw emotion that is usually happening in the room between the parents, if the mother and the significant other is in the room, between the family members that might be in the room, everybody gets excited that the baby's coming, the raw emotion. So sometimes the woman is agitated even almost because she's in pain. She's like, I gotta go, I gotta push her, whatever. And you have to kind of manage how, to get her to okay, I know how you're feeling. I need you to just focus for a second, push this way, or, breathe this way, or bear down this way, and sometimes it's hard to get them, they're in so much discomfort and pain, or, it feels almost like they're losing all control and allowing that woman to kind of go through the process. And when the contraction is over, to be able to be like, okay, in this moment, let's regroup.
Focus.
Breathe, take a deep breath. When you're pushing, the pushing is bear down as if, and listen, pushing is like as if you're on the toilet and it feels like a hot brick is coming. Okay. So this is not, there's nothing, it's beautiful, but it's not beautiful at the same time. Right. For other women, they're just so calm and stoic and supporting them through it. The family, the dads that want to see, the dads that don't want to see, the dads who are like kind of in the corner, the dads that are
fainting,
or fainting. And then the ones who are like, I want to cut the cord and I or holding the legs or whatever. The grandmas who are like, I remember when this happened to me. I remember when I had you, and
reminiscing at that
right at that moment. But it's the mothers and the baby. And watching the little head as it turns a little bit or wiggles a little bit with every contraction.
So you're sitting at the edge of the
bed,
right? On a stool or something?
Yeah, and I'm never sitting.
You're not sitting?
Ever.
You're
I don't sit for births.
So you stand?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you stand, and so then you're fully solidly implanted. And so what is the feeling, or what do you feel, or what do you think when you first start seeing the head of the baby in the vaginal canal?
I'm thinking a lot of things. I'm thinking, okay, how can we do this the most controlled possible way? Because I really don't want her vagina to tear. How can we make this as atraumatic as possible?
So it's almost like, okay, here we go.
As much as I want to be in my just this is so beautiful, emotional hat, right? I got to be a doctor. You know what I mean? And I want to preserve that woman's vagina as best as possible. Okay. So there's that part. And then there's the part of how can I just kind of usher. I'm like an usher. I'm ushering this life into the world. I'm not the one giving birth. I'm just helping. She's giving birth. And
so when you mean ushering, is it like a welcoming? Is it like bringing it slowly?
Yeah, slowly, for sure, slowly. And let me tell you, I will say one thing. Women have a strength that is like 20 tons, man, when they're pushing a baby out. Like sometimes the amount of counter pressure that I have to give so that baby is coming out slowly, like I said, so that we're as atraumatic as possible. I have to put in all of my energy. Every ounce of me has to go into this. Every ounce of my muscle.
So this is a workout.
This is a workout.
So, all right. So let's just talk about this. So when you say counter pressure, you're asking the woman to push, but at the same time, if she's pushing too hard, that's not good. So you're trying to
slow it down, to control,
balance that out.
Yes.
Because again, you don't want to tear the vagina.
Yes. You're doing it in a way that's trying to be as controlled as possible. And so oftentimes I tell them, okay, give me a slow push. Okay, give me a light push. Because as the head is coming out, it's coming. And I always like to ask also, would you like to feel the baby's head as it's coming out? Or would you like to, as the baby's coming out, can you reach down? Do you want to grab your baby? There's so many different ways in which you can just have the experience be a connected experience. And not everybody wants to do that. Some people feel really like, oh no, it's too soft, it's too squishy, I'm going to hurt it. Like there's a fear, but other women really want to be a part of it.
It's a very personal
personal experience. Even doing things like I said, I try my best to keep everything in natural light as much as I possibly can, not putting on big overhead lights until after the baby's born.
So then when the baby is coming and then you're putting counter pressure, is it to slowly bring the elasticity?
Yes, the vagina is a very elastic organ. It's wonderful in the sense that, it can expand as much as it does. And then literally after the baby's born, it like goes like, it's like a rubber band. It goes, zoop, zoop. Amazing. I mean, women's bodies. Oh, we're so amazing. We are so amazing in all the things that we are able and capable of doing, including the birthing process. And gosh, I wish I had a way to give you, like, I wish I could bottle it the way that it feels.
What feels?
The emotion, the whole experience. I wish it was something that you could just bottle and give it to someone so that they could feel it.
So then the baby is slowly going through
the canal. Yeah, and part of that too, right? We want the baby to go through the canal. And while the baby's going through the canal, it actually is being squeezed, and all of that squeezing and stuff is actually helping the baby to push whatever secretions may be in its lungs, in the nose, in the mouth. All of that stuff is important.
So that's happening at the same time.
All of that is happening. All of that is happening.
What a design.
What a design. We are perfectly designed.
Wow. And so then eventually it comes to the end of the vaginal canal and you actually see the head coming out. So what are your feelings, your thought process as you're realizing, okay, now the baby's literally coming out into this new world?
Okay, again, Dr. Hat back on.
Yes.
Is the rest of the body coming?
In terms of it might be just a little stuck.
There are things that can happen. It can get stuck. The shoulders can get stuck. The mom can be exhausted and stop pushing and giving her a moment to gather herself in order to, because we've still got to get the rest of the baby out. And just giving the baby also a moment.
A breather.
Yeah, like literally a breather, because the baby will help you.
The baby will help you.
The baby will help you. The baby will move. I have to give this shout out to Dr. Comrie. And the reason why is because we were partners and we've talked about how, just the sheer joy that we have of doing the work that we do as OBGYNs and specifically in birth. And she's like, just give it time. Just give it time. And she's so wise and so right. And I'm so thankful to just even have heard that little piece, because, there was a time when, I felt like, oh my gosh, how come so many babies get stuck? And I asked her and I said, so Dr. Comrie, how many shoulder dystocias have you had? Shoulder dystocia meaning exactly that, a baby whose shoulder gets stuck in the canal.
And when we say stuck, it means that it's just hard to move
So
it.
stuck meaning that the shoulder gets stuck. When the baby's coming out through the birth canal, it's got to go through the pubic bone. It's got to pass through all those bony parts of our pelvis.
And our shoulders are larger than our heads.
And our shoulders are definitely larger than our heads.
Yes.
And so the baby's shoulder can actually become stuck under the woman's pubic bone. Okay? And for multiple different reasons, which I won't get into, but it can happen. And she said to me, honestly, I just don't remember the last time. And she said, maybe a couple of times in my career.
In her whole career.
Meanwhile, this woman has been an OBGYN for 40 years. Okay. And I was like, how is that even possible? Like I had two like it was just like, how is that possible? And she said, let everybody give it a moment. And that was the best thing. She said, I just wait. And I'm not saying that that's, you are not doing other things if it should happen. But sometimes we rush so much that, oh my God, the head's out. Okay, now the baby's got to come out, the whole thing. And it's okay. Head's out. Baby's all right. Give the baby a chance to work with you, not against you. Let the mother work with you, not against you. Give her a moment to regather her strength. And sometimes it's just that. It doesn't mean that the shoulders don't actually get stuck. They do. It doesn't mean that you don't have to do maneuvers in order to actually get the baby unstuck. You have to at times. But sometimes we think that the shoulders are stuck and they're really not stuck. That's what that was really the moral of the story here.
You know, what's interesting as you're talking about it is that we've been on this planet for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. There weren't OBGYNs like thousands of years ago. We've, evolution and everything. So obviously, for the better part, again, to your point, not in every case, but for the better part, the body is already designed
To do.
to do this. And so to your point, to let it do what it is designed to do.
To do. That is correct. Let it do what it's designed to do. That's why I say I'm just ushering. There's no right or wrong way. And there's no magic here. I'm not saying that it's so easy. I don't want people to walk away from this thinking, Dr. Lubin said it's... No, that's not what I'm trying to get at. I'm no miracle worker. I'm saying work with the body. Work with what's happening. And then if we need to, we can always adjust.
Right. You're there to, like you said, to usher and just to be there to make sure that it is as comfortable as possible, to address any issues that come up. But we also have to respect the natural processes that occurs.
That occurs. Exactly. And I think that's what the lesson was for me in that moment when I asked her that question. And like game changer.
Again, if everything is going smoothly, it's also respectful for the baby, right?
Yeah.
Because if the baby is designed to come the way it's supposed to come and everything's going okay, then that's sort of a nice way to enter the world versus like forcing it to like come out.
I like to implore upon all birthing persons that it's your story. It's your story. It's your baby's story. And unfortunately, yes, sometimes it's a traumatic one. But this is why we say, honestly, every birth is different. Every single one. No one birth is the same. It just speaks to the individuality of all of us. It speaks to the newness, the, je ne sais quoi of each of us. And it begins from our birth story. It's so wonderful that we get to talk about this on New Year's because that's what it's about. It's about being new.
And also, as you're talking about this, and, I'm imagining all of the scenarios and seeing you and seeing the baby and the vaginal canal and all that. And then to realize that, I went through a vaginal canal with my mom. So I'm just like, wow, I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that everything turned out amazing. And how amazing it is that I popped out, and here I am.
And here you are. And here you are. And I think I just want to go, just one little caveat to this is that a birth is a birth is a birth. And some women may choose to not give birth, not have children. It doesn't change the experience of motherhood. It doesn't change. So for some women, they may choose to never be mothers, but they're the best aunties. And
that's me.
Or they're the best friends. And all of that plays a role in that new, in that new baby's life. If you're the best auntie, the best friend, and it's still an experience. And I don't want to take anything away from women. I don't want women to walk away from this particular episode thinking that, she's just saying you have to give birth. No, it's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying embrace what is yours.
And also embrace the fact that you were born.
And actually, it's really about that.
Right?
That you were born.
Yes, that we all went through the
birthing process to be here. And that's really what this is about. And the celebration of life.
Celebration. Hallelujah. Like
Celebration of life.
Yes. I mean, I'm actually very grateful that I was born in this time and that I was able to reap the full benefits of my freedoms, and that I was born to my parents, and that my dad was a trailblazer and my mom was this nurturing soul, and they enabled me to open up the world of what I can be and to think to myself. So, and that all started from when I was born.
We all have a story from whence we came, from where we started, and just embrace it. Embrace it.
Where were you born?
Brooklyn, Kings County.
Okay, so you just moved from Brooklyn to Queens. That's all that happened?
I am a Brooklyn girl.
You're a Brooklyn girl.
I am a Brooklyn girl from 2 Haitian immigrant parents, but I am a Brooklyn girl. Yeah.
And so to finish off the birthing process is when the baby now finally fully comes out. Like for the different like videos here and there that I've seen, it almost feels that the last part comes like in one shot almost. Like, you know, once like at least half the body is out, then it's just it just comes out. Is that how it happens?
Yes, that is very much how it happens.
So you have to be fully prepared.
For sure, I'm a football catcher. Yeah, I don't know, what is that? The quarterback?
Like you have
I don't know who catches the catcher, the person who catches the ball.
Yeah, it's not the quarterback.
I don't know. Don't listen to me. I don't know anything about football.
I barely know what I'm talking about.
I know about giving birth. That's what I know. And yes.
You're the catcher. That's in baseball.
I don't know.
Okay.
I know how to get the baby, catch the baby.
Okay. But you have to have good reflexes, right? Like you
For
have
sure.
to be like,
yeah,
really,
we don't want to
really-
drop the baby.
No, we don't. We definitely.
Woo!
But so you're really like, okay,
Yeah, you got to be present.
okay. And then you have it. And then what happens?
Oh my gosh. So sometimes I'll tell you one last story because I had the beauty and the joy of delivering one of my own baby cousins.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh. What an amazing, amazing experience. And I literally delivered her and I just held her. I was just like, I'm the first person who gets to hold you. It was so incredibly emotional and joyous and happy. And yeah, sometimes I deliver the baby and for sure, I always ask, you know, would you like the baby right on top of the mom's belly and chest? And immediately we do skin to skin. But that delivery always is such a great memory for me.
So the first thing you do is skin to skin, and then you go and
Yeah, I put the baby onto mom and, you know, we take off all the things, pull down her gown and, you know, put the baby on.
how long has that been around? Like that
What?
part of skin to skin? Like when was it always the case, or do you feel that has evolved with time?
I think we now understand even a lot more how important it is for mom and baby to connect right away. It helps with mom's regulation of her hormones. It helps with baby's regulation of its temperature and heartbeat and all these things that are happening and breathing and calming down. It's just a simultaneous thing that really happens when you're able to provide that concept of skin to skin.
So it's not
For
just good
both-
for the baby. It's good also
No,
for the
it's good
mom.
for the mother too. It's good for both of them. I'm not exactly sure when it really became like a big deal or not big deal. I don't know what to call it, but where we just simply had the awareness. But I'm so glad that we do it now. That it's, for me anyway, in practice, it's automatic.
And how many babies do you deliver? Like on a weekly or like monthly basis?
I mean, there was a time when I was so busy delivering babies. I don't know. We probably did like 30 deliveries a month or something.
So almost once a day.
Almost once a day, yeah. Almost once a day.
But I'm
the
sure
most that I've
someti-
delivered in a day is about 10.
you should get a medal for that. Like, seriously.
You know, I'm sure there's so many of us who work in these really busy institutions, and I'm happy that I'm in a place now where I feel a good balance so that I really can give women the attention that they deserve. Sometimes when you have to do delivery after delivery after delivery, you're literally hopping from one room to the next, to the next, to the OR, to this, to that. It's just, it can feel really insane. But yeah, 10 babies in one day.
I can't even imagine. And, you know, we talked about it from like the baby's perspective, but then there's a whole mother there. Like maybe she's screaming, maybe she's
not, maybe she's
disconnected or fear. Like there's so, I think the word that you said at the beginning really rings true to me, which is like the whole rawness of it, right? There's so much vulnerability that occurs because it's all like right there in front of you.
Yes. It's amazing.
So I'd like to say, as we are closing, have an amazing, beautiful day and enjoy yourself as the magical person that you are, as we all are.
As we were all born, we all came from new beginnings at some point. Let this New Year's be whatever the new beginning it is for you. Just embrace it, embrace yourself, embrace your body, embrace all the things that 2025 has to offer us. Thank you so much for listening to the Dr. Sophia ObGyn Podcast. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Bye.
Bye.
This is general medical information based on my professional opinion and experience. For specific medical advice, please refer to your physician. Until next time, embrace your body, embrace yourself.